Of August 4th, 2022, for the Board of Park District Commissioners of the Bluff Park District. Good evening, everyone, and we'll start with roll call, please.
Commissioner Raymore, Commissioner Reeder, Commissioner Walsh, Commissioner Weber, President Gilliam.
Here. What I'd like to do first is, because we do have a commissioner who is on tonight via Zoom, may I have a motion, please, to have this commissioner participate via remote? So moved by Walsh and then seconded by Greenfield. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Greenfield, Commissioner Lane, Commissioner Raymore, Commissioner Walsh, Commissioner Weber.
Yes.
President Gilliam.
Yes. I'll continue to use the microphones, but okay, there's a lot of echoing. Thank you, I will do that then. Before we, may I have a motion, please, for the approval of the agenda for this evening? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Greenfield, Commissioner Lane, Commissioner Raymore, Commissioner Walsh, Commissioner Weber.
Yes.
Before we go into the statement of visitors tonight, I would like to take a minute to kind of go through the process for this evening, especially because this is our special board meeting. Once again, folks, we do have a dedicated email which is up on the Lakeland Park District website. I'd like to encourage people to use that. We've been receiving a lot of emails directly again to commissioners, and we have said before, we'll emphasize again, when you use that dedicated email and send a comment, question, and opinion that route, that will be included in our information packet. So please remember to use that. For tonight, with our agenda, a couple of things. A couple of years ago, I had attended a village board meeting, and this was when Kathy O'Hara was the village president. Folks got a little unruly, and if anyone heard Kathy O'Hara's teacher voice, you know exactly what I mean. Everybody kind of sat up straight and understood exactly what she was saying. I'm very fortunate. I have a mom and dad who are still with me. My mom's a retired teacher. My dad's a retired principal. I grew up with that teacher voice in my household, and I can use that teacher voice myself. So what I'm asking tonight, please, is don't make me use the teacher voice. I'll ask everybody tonight that when there is the statement of visitors, as well as the public comment, which will be later after the commissioners get the opportunity to speak, please limit yourself to 3 minutes. We will have Ken Redmond, who's going to be holding up timing for everyone to speak, but it's respectful of everybody else to make sure that you use your 3-minute time and don't run over. I'll ask as well that no one makes cheers, comments, applause. Again, it cuts into other people's time, and you want to have your ability to be heard in your 3 minutes. So please, don't make any comments that way. We did have something comment before. You have to say this. You're all very bright people. You have a large vocabulary. I ask no swearing, please. And then finally, just no other comments to anybody else in this room. I'm asking, and we do have it as a board policy, I will emphasize it again tonight, if there's any criticism of a board member, of a staff member, of any other member of this community, I will have to use the teacher voice. I hope that we can all talk to each other with respect and treat each other accordingly. Thank you for that. Second, before again we go into the statement of visitors, I just want to address the packet that was published for tonight. I want to make sure that I'm very clear on this. I'm wearing my Board of Commissioners hat and not wearing an attorney hat. The information that I'm talking to you about was relayed by our counsel. When we published the packet and we are diligently working as a board to make sure that there is transparency and that we put together a packet so that people understand and know what's going to be before them. When the packet was originally published, because the issue for tonight is regarding a citizens referendum to be put up for November, the packet, the petitions were originally included with that. I want to make sure that people know that that was correct and that was legal for us to do that. However, there were members of our Park District community who had private concerns that was expressed to us, and we as a board decided it would be appropriate and considerate to remove that packet from being online. The packet is in its entirety, in original form, available for viewing. There's no need for a FOIA. It will be available at the Park District front desk so you can obtain it that way. But I want to make sure that everybody knows that that is information that is available and viewable for everybody in the community. So with that, we'll go into our statement of visitors. This is the opportunity for people who are here as well as online to address the board on items that are not on our agenda for this evening. You'll again have a 3-minute time per citizen. After 30 minutes of statements on this from the public, items which are not otherwise listed, I will be able to close the floor. I will again say that after the board has its own discussion tonight, I will open up the floor for public comments, so that will be a time for you to be able to address us as well at that time. All right, so with that starting, statement of visitors, if there's anything you'd like to address the board at this time.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Chris Greenfield, a resident of Lake Bluff for 9 years. My husband is Paul Greenfield, the Lake Bluff Park Commissioner. In the recent past, I was part of a group of Lake Bluff residents that organized the Lake Bluff community to raise funds to support the Lake Bluff Park District in its efforts to make improvements to the lighthouse and secure the commitment to the Lake Bluff golf course. Paul also participated and was ultimately elected to the Park District Board. At the last Park District meeting, a member of the community that I feel like should name because she made it public is Gail Gamrick, publicly stated. Okay, a member of the community who made a statement that is untrue, so I feel I need to correct it. She made a statement that the male members of the board used his wife's Facebook account to use his point of view. Is that a warning or an edit?
Yeah.
It's already up. Oh, okay, I couldn't see that. Sorry. Okay, let's start. So that a male member was using his wife's Facebook account to defend the golf course. I do not know this person who made that comment, and she does not know me. She's not familiar with me at all. She has no basis to make this public statement. And it needs to be clear that trying to undermine the integrity of the Park District Board member is a tactic to deflect from the revelations of the problems the Park's proposal. I write my own Facebook posts based on facts from the Park District public meeting, task force findings, and other public sources. As any of my friends know, I have no problem speaking for myself. This person was attacking members of the Park Board, attempting to show bias. There was no bias. It was my Facebook posting. The task force report and work presented by the Park District Board reveals many flaws, financial risk, and misrepresentation in the proposal. It is important to discuss facts and be respectful with respectful discourse. No matter the outcome, we all live in the same village and want to enjoy the great resources we have. The Park District Board has the most information, done the most extensive research, and was elected to serve secure resources for future generations. I ask all residents
there anyone else who'd like to make a statement? Thank you.
Hi, I'm John Shaw. I live on 219 Scranton Road, and we've been around for a few years. And I'm not sure whether the numbers of golfers we have are 80, 20, 80%. But what I do know about the local golf course is it's an important and integral part of our community. And it was established over 50 years ago. And from my research, that was the whole purpose of that piece of land, was to create a golf course. So, and we've also had the equivalent of over $10 million of investment in that golf course. So, considering what we've already invested in the golf course and its popularity with Lake Bluff golfers and other local golfers, I believe this board should be biased in favor of keeping it. We put a lot into it. To do otherwise would unnecessarily fracture Lake Bluff and ensure every penny spent towards district property would be met with petitions, misleading yard signs, and unknown political agendas. I encourage this board to vote down this proposal at your next meeting and end this divisive service. End it now. Say no to the SMC, say no to the new preserve, and say yes to a new contract with Golf Visions. Thank you.
Please.
My name is Constance McCabe. I live in the sanctuary. I've been a Lake Forest, Lake Bluff resident for 42 years. I would like to mention that the area around the proposed preserve could serve as a wonderful opportunity for more than the 8% of Lake Bluffers who play golf. It's a chance for walking trails, hiking trails, nature trails, educational and recreational opportunities for the Lake Bluff Elementary School. The referendum is a process which gives the residents of Lake Bluff an opportunity to express their opinion. Without a referendum, it's hard to know exactly what the opinion is. Clearly, hundreds of Lake Bluff residents who have signed the petition are in favor of having their voices heard. I know that the Park Board has used referenda in the past to solicit opinions from the residents, and I urge you to do so again. Also, you've employed a public relations firm to solicit and formulate the view that the public encounters. And you could encounter the opinion of the public itself, again, via the referendum. I don't have a Facebook account. I do have a teacher's voice as a teacher of 42 years. I have been the subject of comments also, just for sitting at a table at the farmer's market. I would say the community is already divided. I noticed this week that monarch butterflies were put on the endangered species list. And here's an opportunity for us to do something, to do our part to help nature. I've heard the comment that we don't need another preserve, that a golf course is a natural preserve, but golf courses naturally, on average, put 50,000 pounds of pollutants into the environment. Here's a chance to look forward, not back, and do something to leave the planet a better place than we're finding ourselves currently in. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. And to the Park Board, I want to say thank you for your service. Land Use Task Force has done a great job with their report. I myself serve on the library board, so I know what it is to kind of give of your free time to our community. So thank you to the Land Use Task Force as well as the Park Board. I'm here tonight to speak in favor of saying no thank you, goodbye to SMC, saying no thank you to Preserve. Here in Lake Bluff, we already have 81 dog-friendly, open land and preserved acres available to the community. The Lake Bluff Golf Course provides a fun, casual, welcoming opportunity for golfers in our community and beyond. This Park District Board, maybe some of you were members 4 years ago when the Golf Visions contract was signed, has done an amazing job providing a financially self-sufficient recreational opportunity that is unique in Lake Bluff. I look forward to golfing on the Lake Bluff Golf Course, not only tomorrow morning at 8:30 for my tee time, not standing tee time, but my tee time, and for many years to come, my young adult children and my grandchildren. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Terry Walcott. I live at 115 Sunset Place in Lake Bluff. My family and I have been here since 1978. I endorse it's unfortunate that the lawyer said that the referendum proposal from the group would not be admissible, but he did say that that whole topic can be presented through you all, the Board of Commissioners. I don't know how you're going to get a feeling from the community unless you put it to a vote. I think that's the most straightforward way to know what's going on. Thank you.
Good evening, Paul Malika. My mom and Avenue. I've been a resident of Lake Bluff for 33 years. So, thank you again for the opportunity with this open meeting of the Park Board for community to voice their opinions. I think this is the second one. There was one about a week and a half ago. There's another one scheduled on August 9th. That is in addition to the 2 meetings held by the Land Use Task Force. All of which is to say there have been multiple opportunities for the public to voice their opinion on this controversial issue. Above and beyond all of the emails I'm sure your inboxes have all been inundated with, both personal and otherwise. In addition to an open forum to post a comment on your website. All of which is to say, in a way you're in a good position because I believe you have heard plenty from this community already on both sides. And I think the concern with the referendum is that it still leaves a significant majority of people in the community who really have not taken the time for whatever reason to educate themselves on either side of this issue. And they will make up their mind in those 30 seconds in the voting booth, an uninformed opinion on both sides of the matter. So I would encourage the board to do the job that people have entrusted you with your vote. We put you in your position for a reason. Please, I think for the health of the entire community, we leave it to you to make a call on this decision without a referendum. Thank you.
Other speakers, registered visitors? Anybody online? Okay. For the person who would like to speak online, would you go to unmute yourself, please?
Mary.
Hi. Hi. It's obvious that our community wants a say in this decision. And if you are unwilling to move forward with a referendum, please utilize a method of soliciting the opinions of everyone in our community, not only those able to attend one of your public meetings or are confident enough to speak amidst all the audience comments and cheering. After the behavior of last week's audience, I know of multiple members in our community who wanted to speak but felt uncomfortable publicly placing themselves on one side or the other of this decision. They didn't want to be the target of their neighbors, and I know that feeling, and it's a terrible feeling. I don't know of a better means of public input than a ballot referendum, but would be open if we are assured and confident that it would be an unbiased interpretation of our opinions.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I just want to confirm that things that are subject to your upcoming discussion should be delayed until after that discussion has taken place. I want to be topical, because my topic is about the petition itself.
Is there anyone else online for the statement of visitors? Okay. Thank you, everyone, and we'll close that portion of our agenda. On to the verbal communications. Very brief president's report germane to what is on our agenda for this evening. I want to thank Regis Charlot, our village president, Andrew Irwin, the village manager, for facilitating an informal meeting. When we became aware of the complexities and the legal matters that could surround this citizens referendum, those two gentlemen were very, very helpful and quick to action to say, is there any way that we can have a discussion? Any way that we can have a sit down to be able to talk about what could be facing our community? We spent a great deal of time, and I'm very thankful for them for doing that. I'm very thankful to the representatives who came forward from the citizens group that looked forward to putting on this referendum. There was no meeting of the minds, if I can call it that, but I still think it was a very helpful discussion, and I will just make the same opportunity available. I don't know if we just wants to host another time like that, but at the same time, we're very willing to sit down and be able to talk to people who are so invested and so concerned about this matter within our community. So with that underway, and then I do want to bring up what will happen next. We do have our next public forum meeting on the 9th. That'll be another opportunity for us to be able to listen to people, to hear people, because what's really important is to hear what's behind everybody's story. So on August 9th, we will have the same ability for everyone to come forward and speak and talk about this matter. After that, it's what the board is going to do. And we have 3 critical matters before us. One of them is the financial matter, because that's an overriding element of what's before us with this proposal. The costs, the income, everything that's going to touch the Park District community and Park District taxpayers. The second part of it is what happens to Lake Bluff Park District itself. What happens to the land, what happens to the operations, what happens to the staff. We have to talk about that, we have to put that. And then finally, the legal portion as to, boy, we've heard that word complex so many times, I wish there was a better word that I could use, but that pretty much says it all. It's a very complex legal matter that is in front of us as well. As a board, we want to have the opportunity to have that discussion openly with the public so that you kind of see the work in progress as we go through this. So we will be setting these meetings so that you can listen to the board as we go through this, because these are the things that are going to be critical for making the right moves forward with what happens with our park district. That being said, on to our business for this evening, which I will turn over to our counsel, Scott Poma, to talk about the advisory referendum that we have received.
Good evening. So we were tasked with reviewing the petition when it came in because there was a question raised as to whether it was appropriate for a park district to accept a citizen-initiated referendum. And so when we looked at it, there are a couple of what appear to be defects in the petition itself, but the bigger issue is the provision of the election code, which provides for the submission of a public question. And the election code is specific that A petition can be submitted by the registered voters of a municipality, a township, a county, or a school district. It does not include a park district. It doesn't include any other units of government in Illinois. And there are no cases that have interpreted that provision, but there are cases that have interpreted the general authority of the legislature to set limitations on the submission of public questions. And in those cases, it's clear that the legislature can do that. Using basic statutory construction, the omission or lack of inclusion of the park district in the election code means that it is not that the park district cannot accept a citizen petition referendum petition. Park district the park district code does not provide for a citizen initiated referendum either. For example, the township code and municipal code, which governs cities and villages, both provide for citizen initiated referendum. Because the park district code does not provide for that, there is no authority under that code either. So it is our opinion that the referendum petition should not be certified by the local election authority. The board really doesn't have a role in deciding whether to do that or not. The board, the decision was made to come forward and have this meeting so that this was being done publicly and transparent to advise the public of this, and so that people would be aware of what the decision was. But the board really isn't being asked to vote on this tonight. It is to discuss the matter and determine whether they concur or not with our opinion. And I haven't heard or received anything from anybody that disagrees, not from the board, but no one has reached out to our firm since we published the opinion, so I don't have any contrary information. So at this point, if anybody has questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
So I can kind of frame what Scott was talking about too. On July 25th, I believe, citizens group came forward with a referendum that they would like to put on the November ballot. The format to do that would be to present petitions to the election official, which would be our executive director, John Mueller, and then he would certify the petitions and it would go forward to be put on the referendum. Citizens are able to do this, as Scott was just saying, for certain groups, but the Park District is not one that's within the direct statute. The petition, and to kind of frame this again as well, I'm sure you already know this, the Park District and the village don't have the same boundaries. In the Park District, we include other communities such as Millwood. We have some other parts of Lake County that are included in the Park District. The village is the village. So this would be a petition that they were seeking, and it's an advisory opinion, meaning that it's non-binding, it is advisory in nature, but it is a vote. So there would be tallies of numbers of people who voted for or against. And the question that was on the petition is as follows. Shall the Lake Bluff Park District transform the Park District property currently used as the golf club into an open wetland and recreational area with the opportunity to sell wetland credits? So that's what was brought forth, and then I will go ahead at this point and turn this over to our commissioners if they have questions of Scott with the legal opinion.
Well, I think we're faced with two issues. First and foremost, the very firm opinion from our attorney is that it's not legal. That what is being proposed is not allowed in the state code. I see no reason why we should try to change that and try to force it. We are a government organization, and we should follow the law. We should follow the law that's set out in the statutes, and we have to rely, and we do rely regularly on our attorney to give us those opinions. I think the second issue is that this is a referendum question that is meaningless in terms of what would be done with the land, how it would be done. We are not ready to look at this question yet. We have not put together the final details on the legality of what's been proposed, the finances of what's been proposed, and we have not had an opportunity to discuss what this means to the Lakeville Park District. Last week, someone from the public commented that there's a lot of passion behind, a lot of passionate people behind this on both sides. We're supposed to take the passion out of it. We're supposed to look at the facts. We're supposed to look at the numbers. And we are supposed to determine, as the elected representatives of the people, of the residents of the Lakeville Park District, we then make the best decision that we feel we can make. We simply cannot endorse this at that time. We cannot endorse the referendum at this time because we have not been able to look at all the facts. But what we can look at is our lawyers saying it's illegal. You can't do it. So, in my opinion, this is not the time for the legislature to turn around and make an exception.
Before I share any sort of opinion, Scott, can I just ask a question? What sort of legal ramifications do you think we could be subject to if we were going to push something like this forward in its exactness?
So if it's certified, it goes to the county, then there's an objection process that any resident could file an objection to say that it's improper. And then the county would convene an electoral board and decide that. There isn't really any penalty that would come back to the district itself relative to placing something on the ballot. The county clerk could refuse to certify the question to, I don't know that would happen as the election authority for the county, but there really isn't a penalty. It's really a question of whether it's permitted or not by statute, and I can't think of anything that would come back to me.
But a citizen could challenge it.
Yes. So if it was certified, then to the county, then there could be an objection, just like there are some from time to time to candidate petitions.
Thank you.
So on this.
Hey Scott, I'm sorry, I'm remote on this one. I'll be short. Is the question whether or not the this is binding, or whether the question can be asked in general, i.e., appear on a ballot?
Okay. So it is a non-binding referendum question. There's only a limited number of statutory exceptions to the non-binding referendum issue. This is not one of them. The question is whether it is appropriate to ask for citizens of the Park District to initiate a referendum, and whether it's allowed under the election code or the Park District code. So it's not a question of whether it's binding or not. It's a question of whether it's appropriate or within the statute to certify that question that's been submitted.
Let me, I'll ask this quickly and pass this on to Sue. I'm going to ask the opposite question of what Nikki asked when she asked if it's certified. If it were not certified and it did not go forward from here, what would be the repercussions to the park district or to the people?
Well, potentially somebody could file a mandamus lawsuit to ask that the petition be certified to the county clerk and placed on the ballot. That would be to generally, it's an equitable action that without damages, or monetary relief, asking that this question go to the voters. And at that point, then there would be a case in court. If it's not certified, there isn't an opportunity for the electoral board proceedings. Somebody would have to go to court to do that.
Okay, so if it's not certified, there's the possibility of saying a lawsuit against
Of a lawsuit against the park
park
district.
district or
The park district and the local election official, John, in his official capacity as the secretary of the board and the local election official.
Can you speak up?
Can you hear me? Can you hear Mr. Scott Homer?
All right, I will try and speak louder. Is that better? Okay.
Okay. Do you need to have him repeat what you just said regarding the lawsuit? Please.
Okay. If the board, if the question's not certified, the park district could be sued in what's called a mandamus action. And also the secretary of the board as the local election official could be sued to certify the question to the ballot.
And then I always have to ask this question. Any idea as to how expensive the kind of lawsuit would be for a park district to defend?
It depends if it were appealed. It's usually an expedited proceeding that's decided very quickly because of the limitations of the ballot. Probably, since the research is essentially done on the question, I would say less than 10,000. If it were to go to appeal, it would be more. I don't want to mislead you.
Scott answered my question. You answered my question.
So if I'm not mistaken, Scott, we can either follow your opinion and follow the law and potentially be sued by somebody who says they want the law different. They want the law defined differently than what we see in the statutes. Or we can break the statutes, we can go against the statutes and be sued by somebody who says, wait a second, you park district board, you've broken the law.
It's a little bit different than that. So if the board does certify the question, then somebody would have to object to the electoral board because it would be in the county clerk's hands. So the district wouldn't be a party to that. The electoral board, the county officers' electoral board would be the ones that would act on that. That's a three-member board made up of the state's attorney, the county clerk, and the circuit clerk, or their designee. So that would not be something that the district would necessarily be a party to. You'd certainly be interested, but you wouldn't be a party. If you refuse to, or if the question isn't certified, then there would be, and somebody disagreed that this was the law, then they could file suit. They also have to read the law and decide whether our opinion is well-founded. The law actually does allow a park district to be placed on the ballot. Attorneys don't typically willy-nilly take cases, but the courthouse is full of litigants and people don't think they should be there as defendants.
So you said this hasn't been done before, this hasn't been challenged. I'll do it from both ways. If we certify and let it go forward, what kind of precedent is that set? And if we don't certify it and don't go forward, what kind of precedent is that set?
Okay, so if you certify it, the precedent would be that you've done it once. And so if somebody presented you one at the next election, I don't think that would require you to continue to certify questions unless the statute changes. If you don't, the precedent would be that you're following the statute. The election code, the statutes, election code and the park district code, which don't permit this. So you could make precedent like in case law if this were to go to court and end up a reported opinion, but I don't think there would be much local precedent. You would look at each petition that came in, and even if it was certified in say this election, the next time it comes in, it could be not certified. I don't think you're tying the hands of future actions.
And then if we don't certify, what other options happen? What else could happen with this referendum or advisory opinion? What else could happen with this? Is there another route that people could take or the citizens group could take to try to put this on the referendum?
Another route, we could try another unit of government that can accept the petitions, or that discuss the park board could ask the question, ask a question if it wanted, but there isn't really another end around other than the 4 types of governments that can take these types of petitions. Does that answer your question?
It does. So that means that the citizens group could go through a municipality, a township, a county, or school district to try to get this on the referendum through that route.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Does that create any issues or anything that we should know about that?
Well, I think somebody could argue that they're asking a different unit of government for an opinion on not directly to the park district. There are a couple of cases that have kind of danced around that issue, but there are others that have certified questions in the past that have dealt with directly with issues that impact locally. One of the cases was about nuclear weapons, and whether that was appropriate, and that was submitted to a county. So there isn't a clear precedent on that issue at this point that we're aware of and we did research.
Okay, so you're saying that the citizens group can go with this question of shall the Lakewood Park District transform the Park District property currently used as a golf club into open wetland and recreational area with the opportunity to sell wetland credits. They can bring this to the school board, they can bring this to the village, they can bring this to some other entity to put it on the November referendum?
They could try to do that. That doesn't mean that's somebody could follow the process and object and say it's an inappropriate forum for that question. So somebody could object to that.
Okay. Who would object to that?
A resident, a voter of the district where it's submitted to. So,
but it would be up to the park district to raise that kind of objection of that question about Lakewood land use going through another.
Right. There's no, unless you were to file your own equitable action to join, there's no statutory provision for a unit of government to challenge an election petition.
And now let me ask then, because it's advisory, because it's not binding, what happens then once it is on an election and people vote for it? What happens with the votes? I mean, what
when you receive the results?
Yeah.
Okay, so you receive the results, that's really up to the park district, the park board to weigh that how it deems appropriate. We have a representative democracy in this country and in this state rather than a direct democracy, so the board ultimately makes that decision as the elected officials. So that would be a policy question that the board would have to determine whether it believes that the question is whether the results fairly accurately depicted the community, and also whether all the information had been presented on the issue. So that would be up to the park board.
So whether all the information had been presented in this issue in
Right.
the referendum. Okay, I don't mean to hog the mic. Anyone else? Okay, all right, because I've got a lot of questions. All right. Okay, so as an advisor, does it have any other weight if by chance the citizen group brings it through the village, or they bring it to the school board? Does that change the weight that it would have with the vote? In any way, do we have to pay any more attention or any less attention because of the coming from the road?
That, again, would be a policy determination for the board. I know, as you mentioned before, that the park district is not coterminous with the village at least, and so, meaning that you don't share the same boundaries and some people would be left out of the question. The school district, the grade school district, I'm not sure if the boundaries are coterminous or not. The high school district, I know it's not. So, in the township, is not coterminous either.
The date that this has to be brought forward as a citizens advisory opinion is by
August 22nd, or August 8th.
August 8th, which is Monday.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Is there a different timing for the board if the board chose to bring a referendum? Is there a different timing?
Yeah, the board would have to pass a resolution for a referendum by August 22nd. That's the last day.
And the board would still get the same ability to bring a non-binding referendum?
Correct.
Advisory.
It would be an advisory referendum. The park district code is clear that we can ask public policy questions as advisory. It would be a non-binding referendum.
I don't know if it's a fair question to ask, but I'll ask it. Are there any risks or benefits to the park district? Because let me make sure I'm wording correctly, because you said if an issue hadn't been fully formed, and it's an advisory opinion, that could have some weight as to how you do that. Okay, so if the park district what would your opinion or recommendation be if we're faced with something that's not fully discussed or fully formed at this point? To bring a referendum, or to bring the best referendum or advisory opinion? What would be the best thing to do if we haven't gone through the process yet of discussing it with the board?
That's really a policy decision for the board, but I would say that from what I've seen in other units of government, if you don't have all of the information, asking for the citizens to vote on it, it's kind of unfair to them if you don't have that information in front of you to vote on it. So that would be a little bit difficult, I think, to put that forward.
Because I still have more questions. Other than the legal issue again in front of this, was there anything else, Scott, that you saw with the petitions that could be concerning or would be a legal issue?
Well, there's a couple of deficiencies, as I mentioned. The petition seems to be submitted for the majority electors within the state of Illinois. And it's not specific to the park district, though it does reference that the voters reside within the park district, and that the attestation at the bottom refers to the political division where it was submitted. Yes, sir. So the petition says it's being submitted to the majority of electors within the state of Illinois and but the voters reside within the boundaries of the Bluff Park District, then the attestation at the bottom refers back to the registered voters of the political division in which the public question is submitted, which could either be the state of Illinois or Lake Bluff Park District. And then I believe the majority of the petitions had the yes box checked, more than the majority had the yes box checked, which wouldn't be something that could be submitted to the voters with the question already answered. So I'm not sure, I haven't looked at what 8% of the registered voters in the district that we voted in the last gubernatorial election would be, and so I don't know if that would be enough to, if those things were deficient, if that would disqualify the petition, if someone were to object.
Scott online, do you have any other questions? Any other commissioners have any questions that they want to ask? Anything else you'd like to ask from any of the commissioners? No questions? Unless you'd like to answer before I start.
I don't think so at this point. No, I don't think so.
Thank you very much. At this point, what I would like to do is open up the floor. According to our policy, we have 120 minutes available, and we're holding to the 3-minute time frame for each person to come forward and speak. Thank you.
That's on. Okay. Susan Ryder, 456 Sunrise Avenue. I am a member of the Citizens Group, to which Jennifer referred. One quibble that I have with the comment that Commissioner Greenfield made was to reference the document as having been illegal. I don't think anywhere in your attorney's opinion did he say that filing of it was illegal. But rather than the statute does not provide clearly. Okay, hopefully that'll work. And I think from the text of his opinion, he might agree with me that the Illinois law is not the model of clarity, as it often is the case, because at the beginning of that same statute that he quotes from, it refers to any political subdivision being subject to this section. Any political subdivision or district, and I'm fairly certain that that's the case. So I think it's an open issue of law. I think no one has done anything illegal or encouraged you to do anything illegal, and I just wanted to make that statement. Now to my prepared remarks. As your counsel pointed out in a succinct opinion letter, ours is a representative democracy, and recognizing that, we have asked you, our representatives, to take the idea of a wetlands on the golf course property seriously. But when a representative fails to represent their constituents, as many of you have, the constituents have few options to get their voices heard. The advisory referenda is one such option. I will not detail here the many ways in which you failed as representatives, as it is not relevant to the petition tonight. Suffice to say, your conduct in these public forums and your conduct in public towards some of our members
has been particularly egregious, and just some of the examples of the threats of intimidation that we have suffered. Now, for months, we have pled with you to put such a referendum on the ballot as you are clearly allowed to do, and to allow all of us to vote. Everyone who makes up part of this park district and pays taxes to support it ought to have their voices heard. So understanding the very issue that your council points out in his opinion letter, that there is no clear guidance in Illinois law, we hoped that you're seeing that so many of the residents wanted to have a voice, that you yourselves would place a referendum on the ballot. And as recently as Tuesday, I thought, naively, that that might happen. So go ahead, deny the petition. Continue to stonewall and just hope, as Mr. Greenfield clearly did in his meeting on June 28, 2021, that we would just shut up and go away because, quote, we don't have to do anything. We have a golf course, we can just keep our golf course. I want to make one thing perfectly clear. The preserved people have done everything in our power to ensure that everybody in this park district has a vote.
My name is Tom Fawcett. I live on Witchwood Lane in Lake Bluff. The comment I would like to make, I am also in favor of having this go to referendum. I think it's the best thing for the community, to hear what the community wants. And I think maybe the most important thing the council mentioned here tonight is that the board has the power to do that. All the conversations about the technicalities of this is kind of silly, really, if you have the power to just go ahead and do it. This opportunity involves about $18 million in revenue. It involves $10 million of wetland credits, $7 million of subsidies for land development purposes, and $1 million donation. That's $18 million. The last referendum that the Park District put before the people was for $3 million. I find it ironic and very surprising that the $3 million issue deserved a referendum, but the $18 million one is not. The second point I'd like to make is that there are other capital needs that are upcoming in the next couple of years. I mentioned in the report. One is for the pool, which is $2.2 million, and then the other is for the beach erosion, which is estimated between $4 and $6 million. And I'd like to ask the board if they would try to vote on those issues without going to referendum as well.
Hi, my name is Susan Goodser. I live at 1000 Campbell Court here in Lake Bluff. I want to thank you all for your service. I believe that we heard the citizens when they voted you into this office to start with. And it was because complex problems like these, complex proposals, need a certain group of individuals who are dedicated to really understanding all the facts and ruling on them and deciding what's the best thing for our community. So I feel like we have heard them. I'm concerned with the petition. I was at the bike race last week and I saw people signing it. Had no idea what they were signing. Papa, come on over, sign this. I am concerned that there's so much misinformation going on out there, whether it's through yard signs, websites, word of mouth. People really don't understand the issues. Some do, but the majority do not. And I bring this up in, for example, if you were to ask half the people on that petition, what is the water problem that the wetlands will solve? Half of them would say, my sewer, or under the viaduct. They have no idea. If you were to ask them, what about yard signs that say no more taxes? To my knowledge, if we have the golf course, that isn't going to raise our taxes any. So there's just a lot of misinformation. The tax credits that we're supposed to get from doing a wetland credit, those are not guaranteed. Those will be at market value over the next 10 years, and we will be competing against others if we are going to sell them. So we don't even know 18 million, 10 million, 11 million. And frankly, if it's about the money, we could get a lot more money from developers and other people than doing a wetland. So if it's about the money, we have other options. Lastly, this is a community place that our children, the Lake Forest High School golf team, it's something that the pandemic proved is necessary and important to our community, and that we can all take advantage of for the years to come. This is a decision that if it's not made thoroughly with knowledgeable people who have taken the time, like I believe all of you have, that's it, it's in perpetuity. If it goes to wetlands, it will never, ever, ever be something else. So thank you again for your time.
Hi, Carrie Wells at 140 Oak Terrace. So this is why we have elected really good people to do the heavy lifting on these types of subjects. And I would agree that most of our residents do not look deep into this subject. So we cannot go to referendum on every issue that is presented to our board. It just doesn't make sense. So we trust you. We hope that you are coming together as one group to sort through the facts that we are either not able to or don't have the time. Unfortunately, this is your role, and we have elected you to do so. So we trust that you will make the right decision for us.
Connie Gave again from the sanctuary. I think it's a pretty sad commentary on the state of our populace to say we're not educated enough about the facts of the situation to make a decision. And we have certainly been able to talk to our fellow citizens and provide them with not erroneous, but in fact, good facts. The park board, this particular board, was not elected on this issue. So we thank you for all the time and effort that you have put into it. But the electors didn't choose you based on your stand of a preserve versus a golf course. And therefore, it's incumbent upon you to come at this question without bias. I did have a question for the attorney, because he said, for example, if the petition were submitted perhaps to another body, such as the village, someone could object that that was not the proper venue. If someone objected that that was not the proper venue, then what would be determined to be the proper venue, if not the park board? Also, again, the preserve presents many opportunities and solves many problems, including funding for the pool and the beach, but also educational opportunities and play areas, not just for the few who play golf, but the entire elementary school that sits on that property and currently has a very limited playing area. So I support the work that the board has done. The attorney also mentioned that you didn't have all the facts before you, but certainly the task force seems to have provided you with a wealth of facts. I encourage you to look at all of those options, choose one or two, go back to stormwater management, and have them then flesh out a plan. I know that they're waiting and waiting to hear what the park board has in mind. It would be great to engage them by narrowing down the choices and continue to educate the public as best you can. We're all trying to do that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Yes.
Hi, Matt Foster. I love the shirt, please. I'll just try to do my best limbo for a minute. So, on page 13, it's your frequently asked questions. It says that you estimate will generate about $4 million, give or take $500,000. And then we'll get a donation of one-time donation of $1 million. So it's about $5.5 million. At the low end, I think 145 acres in Lake Bluff is probably $15 million. At the upper end, maybe 30. So are you asking us to throw away $15 million?
So, we're leasing that land, 150 acres, for $25,000 a year. That's the revenue we get from the park. It's in the financial projection. You can look up that. 25. That's a little over $2,000 a month. So, if you think it's a bad deal to get $6 million for the wetland, well, it's a terrible deal to rent that huge piece of land for $2,000 a month. You can't rent anything.
Tom, I'm going to ask you please direct it to us, please, not to an individual in the audience.
That was his question.
I understand that, but please get to us.
All right, well, you're renting a beautiful piece of land, a beautiful clubhouse, and all the equipment for less than you can rent a 2-bedroom condo in Lake Bluff. So don't tell me that the preserve is a bad deal, because we got a terrible deal with golf.
It's not a rental property. It's a golf course. It's recreation anyway.
My name is Sean Walton, and I live in the center. I actually have a question for the attorney. One, I'd like to know if the board actually needs to please vote on the proposal by us. I don't know what the precedent that sets. If anyone comes and decides that they want to make a proposal to the park board, does the park board have to make a vote? Say, I want to have a kelp farm on the beach, and I'm going to throw a lot of money at you guys. Do you have to have a referendum? Do you have to vote on that? That's just something for your attorneys. That's just something, I'm kind of pondering this, and that's just something I'm wondering about. So, if it's something that you're not voting, and we are talking about actually a referendum, that's might actually be a move for a referendum. But the other matter is that when you look at court, you look at the case law, a difference really does go to park boards, because you have the information you're seeing around, you've had hours and hours, and a task force that's hundreds of pages, their reports are 100 pages long, and I think that, I don't think we have to be afraid of that. And I do think there is a lot of confusion. I've heard all sorts of things from people. And, I also want to thank you very much for your time. I think there is a saying in the biz, no good deed goes unpunished. I think you are hearing that right now, and that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
State my name earlier. Bonnie Shaw, I live at 219 East Franklin. And I recently retired, so I've been able to follow this issue since about February. And it's evolved a lot. I have read the whole report from the Land Use Task Force. One thing I'd like to suggest to the Park District and others attending the meeting live and virtually is, what I hear is perhaps the land that today is within the Lake Bluff Park District that are either open lands or preserves. The Park District has jurisdiction over Belle Foray, I think is how you say that, I don't speak French. Oriole Grove is Lake County Preserve. We have, I forget the name of it, the land off of Wimbledon Court that is under Park District. Is there more that could be done with those lands today to help meet what some of the requests are from those who would like to see preserved with more recreational opportunities? There's this $1 million anonymous donor. Well, can that anonymous donor be convinced to invest in some of the preserves and open lands that exist today in Lake Bluff? The last public forum, someone said, us alone, the golf, the golf community. I guess, you know, I see the possibility for a win-win, and I hope that the Park District can perhaps help bring the community toward a win-win, where the golf course remains as a unique recreational opportunity to the residents of the Lake Bluff Park District, and the preserves of open lands within the boundaries can get even better. Thank you.
Don't see anyone else coming forward. Okay, I'll turn it over to whoever is on Zoom who would like to speak. And I don't want to startle anybody with an interruption, but we will also be calling out time as you are speaking. So is there anyone on Zoom who would like to comment?
No hands.
There is no one. All right. Thank you, Jeff. Okay. Thank you, everyone, once again, for being so passionate and involved in this matter. It's always interesting because everyone thinks passionately about their home. It's their home, it's their residence. This is Park District land. You know, given the taxes you pay, it goes for this, and it's just as passionate and it's just as personal. So I do appreciate where everyone is coming forward and making their comments, their memories, their opinions on this film, and bringing forward very good questions as well. Scott, is there anything else you want to add to this? No? Okay. Anything from the board? I just want to kind of summarize.
I hope you'll think this is relevant, but I think the elephant in the room is the fact that we still need to find out if this is a viable option. The task force has done a lot, but we also as a board need to start talking about what those next steps are. And I have said all along, I think at some point there should be a referendum, whether it is now, whether we let the community do it or we do it. I hope we get to that point. And I just think it's very important for me to say that, because what I feel is that the community is trying to be heard, and they're not sure how the Park District will listen to all of them, the golfers, the preserve people, the people who don't care, but to make sure that we do our due diligence, to do everything we can to find out what the community wants before we make a decision. And one group has decided that the only way they can do that, because they haven't heard that from us, is a referendum. And I just felt I need to say that. Thank you.
I just want to, I agree with Paul in the second point that he made, that the question is being asked. The issue at hand is not lend itself to a referendum. It is a multifaceted issue with several contingencies, caveats, and unknowns, not to mention a permanent ramification that is not listed in that referendum question. And so that is why that should not be a referendum question. It's missing a lot of information. So I just needed to say that.
So I don't know that I see a problem with a referendum question since it's advisory. However, I feel like it's really soon. We've just had a lot of information given to us from the task force, and I don't know that, you know, anyone in this room, I mean, we've done our best to disseminate all of that information, and we still have a lot of unanswered questions. I just think that we want to spend as much time hearing from people still, you know, in the community. We've done everything we can, and we welcome other ideas. But to take this to a referendum now, who's to say we wouldn't take it to a referendum in the spring? I don't know. Once we've had more time to get the information out, I think for me, it just feels rushed at this point.
Thank you, everyone on the board. We do not need to vote on this matter tonight. This really is giving our consensus as to how we would like John Wheeler as our election official to proceed. So let me just kind of summarize everything that you've heard tonight. A citizen group has brought forth a petition to be put on as an advisory opinion on November 8th, or November 8th, tentatively by November 8th ballot. This is non-binding, it is advisory, and it is brought forward through the park district. Our council has said that this is unprecedented. It has not been challenged in any way before, but he spoke about the fact that if we don't bring it, don't certify it, there could be a legal challenge against the park district. If it is brought forward and certified, there could be another challenge that way as well. That citizens group does have other entities that they could use, public entities that they could use to bring forward this particular referendum, and that there could be a problem. Sorry, I should have written down the word that you used about the conformity with the different citizen groups because of the districts that they influence. We have a different group within the park district than there is within the school board, possibly, as well as certainly within the village. So there could be, if it's brought on with those entities, there could be a legal challenge to that as well. Whenever I hear that, I just hear expensive. My concern, not directly to this, but is the divisiveness in the community, the animosity that this issue continues to bring forward, and what will happen between today in August and the November 8th election if there is a referendum that's put forward that is hotly contested. But that's not what's before us right now. What's before us is really having heard Scott Pullman, having heard legal counsel, what shall we do as a board? So having heard everybody here, oh, Scott, is there anything from you online?
No, no, you've all summed it up very nicely.
We'll keep working on the audio, but thank you, Scott. I'll turn to the board then and ask, having heard this tonight, is there anyone on the board who would, we've heard legal counsel, to follow legal counsel or to not follow legal counsel for tonight? Is there any questions? Maybe I'm not asking the right thing. Is there a consensus by the board to follow legal counsel? And I don't need a show of hands. Or is there anyone who would choose not to follow legal counsel? Choose not to? Okay. All right. Scott, do you have anything you'd like to add on Zoom?
Sorry, Jennifer, it was just a little tough to hear you. Was your question regarding whether is there a consensus about this question? I'm a little confused, sorry.
To follow counsel's advice or to not follow counsel's advice in this matter? I'm sorry, did you go to Scott or I didn't see you on mute?
Sorry, I'm just, if we're saying if we're in favor or not in favor of counsel's advice, I am in favor of following counsel's advice.
Okay. All right. He is in favor of following legal counsel on this matter. Okay. So it does appear that we have the majority of the board who would follow legal counsel on this matter to not have this be certified by our election official. I want to thank everybody tonight again for their participation. I will ask for a call for adjournment. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, everyone.